Hey there folks, and welcome to another 130 mile per hour tryouts. In this tryouts I'm doing the Fiat Panda 30CL 1985. So here's the parts and things you have to do to the car, which I'll just say this, I gotta use all the engine parts because yeah, this thing is incredibly slow otherwise, considering the Fiat Panda is notoriously being known as one of the lowest horsepower ones out in this game. Considering it is literally triple of the amount of horsepower it normally is, which is 30 horsepower. Other to say, it uses an inline 2-cylinder motor, which is, I don't know if I want to say that's a bike motor too or not, because it is kind of weird, because usually I think V2s are bike motors, where inline 2s might be a different scenario, but it does definitely kind of sound like a bike, I'm not going to lie a little bit. So it might be, and by similarity, probably kind of is. But I still need, like, oil and stuff, but, as the thing goes, but that's basically all the parts I had to do at the end of the day. Let's just add all the engine parts and stuff, because, yeah, this thing is slow otherwise. Now, you can add a wide body to it, which basically just slaps some fenders on the side, so it looks like from there, maybe a little bit of front notches and other adds to it. And then you can also engine swap it to have the Integra motor. I will say that Integra motor, not that great. At best, you're going to be able to punch it to 186 miles per hour. Any higher, it starts freaking out a bit more than it should. That, I will say that was on race tires too, because I will say the tires do matter on that. Now for the rims here, I just went with customs here because, yeah, those ones are pretty ugly, I'm not gonna lie. Then again, this is a Econo box. Reminder of that. Because this ain't just a hatchback, this is the Econo box hatchback. Because then the things I read from flat glass to like other, like the rear seat's a bench, technically, you could change that rear seat into a bed and stuff. It's crazy stuff you can do with the Panda at the end of the day. And a lot of people still kind of like this car at the end of the day. You know, being notoriously slow with the 30 horsepower it originally has. But if you upgrade though, you get a 90 horsepower little speeder, so it's not that bad. But yeah, you can slap like a rally spoiler, you can add like rally fronts and stuff. I think this was technically used for rally means, I guess. Seems. I got shocked because at the end of the day, like 30 horsepower. But then again, I heard throughout the revisions, there might have been a water cool version, or this is the water cool version. I'm not sure. Cause I just know I just read some facts here, and I don't know if this was it or the other one. I'll go assume a later one on that matter. Yeah, you could put the license plate and stuff, which, yeah, go with the regular one. And then another big thing to do, if I did show this yet or not, yeah, the front grille. The front grille, these must be the revision versions here. So in case you want the other versions of the grills, they're there, basically. Kind of curious why the changes in the front of that much, I will say. It's kind of weird. Obviously, I decided to change the brake disc. I ain't gonna change it in terms of forms. It's just to apply those brake discs. Yeah, I like those red ones and the black ones. So here's the setup, which I think I did had to increase the ride height and suspension a tad, I think. Because I think it was getting a little stuck on the hills and stuff, so to say, when it comes to turning and stuff. Because, yeah, some old cars just have that problem. Yeah, but as you can see, 90 horsepower, which even with all the engine upgrades, it still didn't need a whole lot, thank God. But that's because of the turbo. The turbo helps a lot, I'll just say this. The turbo, like, jacks it up to, like, I want to say, like, the other half of the horsepower at the end of the day. And so yeah, low RPM turbo, rear all the way down, front all the way up. It's like the complete opposite at the end of the day. Yeah, that's basically it, what I basically did to the Fiat Panda at the end of the day. There's nothing else I could really think of to trim it even faster than 125, which, I'm not gonna lie, that's a pretty good time for what sits. Here's also the vinyl, in case anyone wants the street version vinyl I did for this. Kind of based off of a certain special edition, apparently. Not sure what, but it had like a red line across from the front light to the brake light. And I kind of like that, so I made a similarity to that. So the Fiat Panda is another vehicle done by Giorgetto Giorgio Giorgetto, I believe, or something like that. Italian designer known to make a lot of Alfa Romeos. The BMW Nazca specifically is another one. And other means. And this car was on his list. Although very weird because that's the thing goes, he did like supercars, some special coupes, and then he did this. A little Econo box that, you know, has a lot of cheap things, I'll just say that. Some flat glass apparently, even though that flat glass is easy to repair and stuff apparently, too. I do love the plaid dashboard going on there. That's a very unique thing, I gotta say, going on there. And stuff. Yeah, I'd say the Panda's just a little... another Econo box that I think kind of basically replaced the Fiat 500 at the end of the day. A little bit, even though the Fiat 500's, I mean, not much. I mean, then again, I think it was like 18 horsepower for that. Something like that. It wasn't high. I'll tell you that much. But the Panda 30 CL is a very impressive little machine here, I gotta say. And considering it's in these times, I'm not gonna lie, these times are pretty good considering I have another Canada in the future. But you're gonna be shocked on how slow that car is at the end of the day. This is not that slow, technically. It's, I want to say mid-tier when it's in the performance of that, but there is a huge trade for it hitting that mid-tier though. Oh no. Yeah, so, but other to say that, yeah, this Fiat Panda is a very fun little machine overall. I don't really have much to say because the Fiat Panda is one of those cars I think I saw a glance in terms of 5 or 6 for that matter. And I just looked at it, it's like, eh. Anyways, because if there is any bad history when it comes to me, I was one of those dumb boys who believed that faster was faster at the end of the day. When I come to realize that you should learn and appreciate these small cars at the end of the day, because these small cars can pull up really interesting things every now and then, and you won't realize until you try it, as the thing goes. Now, if there's any issues, I will say, when it comes to the Panda 30, I will say be careful of braking too hard, because this thing does wiggle out of control a little bit upon braking hard. And this is only like at 100 miles per hour, yeah, so it's not even that crazy. But as the thing goes, again, it's a Econo box. The Econo boxes ain't gonna be that crazy good as this thing is. Yeah, hit 124.684, definitely going faster than the time I originally distribute for the testing and stuff, so that's good. That's a great sign. And I almost hit a pretty good time there too, except it was only 0.8 though, instead of 0.6. So yeah, 124.68, that's not like super impressive, unlike the Suzuki Carry, the ridiculously most fast one I ever done at this point, in terms of cars that reach to 130 miles per hour. Then again, as the saying goes, this wasn't meant to be like a balance test. I mean, maybe in the future I'll try to figure out something for balance, but first I need to make the landmark as the saying goes. And this is kind of the way of doing a landmark, so to say, because I need to figure out the speed, and then figure out a swing of speed. And when I figure out that swing of speed, I'll probably will apply that for a test, and probably will increase some cars to that speed, and will lower some cars on that case. Or find other methods or something. Maybe adjust it based on the PP or something. There's a lot of things to think about when it comes to the advanced testing in the future and stuff. Because I do like to see if I can make a bunch of cars very balanced at the end of the day, but I also gotta be careful about fuel consumption being a big deal too, because that's something that separates very well from cars to cars every now and then. Yeah, here we go, hitting 124.609, so not bad at all. For a little car like that, I'm not gonna crap on it. At least it's beating the Sports 800 though, I'll give it that. So now on to Goodwood here. That thing is. So we go on here. See how good its speed and consistency is, shall we? Considering, even though I just mentioned the biggest problem is that the brakes are just as it goes. But overall, I would say the speed when it comes to this car, which here's the stats for that. But yeah, speed 3, because I find the speed pretty good. Acceleration 2, turning 2, fuel 5 though, because yeah, I will say this thing is crazy on the fuel consumption part. Hitting like 2/3 by the time I did a 5 lap around the south reverse and such. Tire wear, non-existent. It's super light about that, so good luck burning those tires at the end of the day. And if any issues, front weight shift, or in other words, if you brake in the front, it's gonna shift pretty quick on you. So be careful about that. As thing goes. Otherwise, in terms of an endurance racer, yeah, I would say it's C overall because it's okay, but it's not crazy or anything. That's what it has to do at the end of the day. While on the sprint side, definitely probably the worst part going on the sprint side because it's definitely not a very fast little car at the end of the day. It's probably at best, probably the most norm out of the bunch, I would say, except for like speed courses where it really shines. Which in this case, we are on the speed course that is the Goodwood, as it goes. Yeah, when it comes to Goodwood, speed and consistency is a big thing when it comes to this road-like course. So they're hitting the 132.081. I think that's pretty good for the most part in terms of speed and such. Yeah, like I said, that's probably gonna be the shine spot when it comes to this car a little bit. So yeah, in terms of opponent it just beat there was the Sports 800. It needs to beat the, what was that? Oh, the R4, the Renault R4s. So let's see if we can beat the Renault R4, because yeah, that's technically a competitor to it at the end of the day. So yeah, I think the Renault R4 is the other 1985 car, technically. You know, technically like 1960s. Even though the Panda's not much better, I think this is like made in the 70s. So slight part. So as we wrap around this corner once again, let's see how much of a hit this is. I will note, I kind of messed with the gears a bit on this one because I was trying to figure out what's the speed stance for this, because I will say there is a bit of a speed stance when it comes to these gears and stuff. It's just hard to figure out sometimes. Because yeah, as the saying goes, I mostly focus on south reverse, while the other two tracks are basically unknown territory, how well I can get the speed out of the car. But I will realize that, wait, yeah, you only go on this gear, because if you don't go on this gear, you don't get enough speed at the end of the day. Or, like, in some cases, you want to keep the gear high for the car and such. It's a fun case when you realize on speed courses and stuff how much you have to react differently compared to on other tracks and stuff, or just, you know, benefit the car at the end of the day. Hitting at 133, so technically not much better, so let's see about the best lap then, in that case. Okay, we are at the best lap, which is hitting still 132.5. Oof, God. Must have had a terrible time with this one. So I can't recall how much of a butt this one was. Yeah, hitting around 97, where the Suzuki Carrier was hitting like 100 around the turn. So yeah, that's definitely a big difference there. Then again, I'm not surprised, because when it came to the Suzuki Carrier was in like 115 on the south reverse straight before I had to brake in and stuff. The best part is I think that has a similar problem too, where the front weight shift was an issue too. Besides overshooter. Come here, issue. And the suspension suck. Because I will say the Suzuki Carrier had like 3 problems technically, but I issued basically the most important one out of the bunch. But as the saying goes, if you ever just have a problem with the carrier, just rise the high as the saying goes. When it comes to that. Yeah, the Fiat Panda though, looks like it's just gonna coast along as the saying goes. At least it's doing better in Sports 800, I'll give it that, because I like bike motor versus bike motor. That's funny stuff. But yeah, I came across a car that's even much worse than the Fiat Panda though, and I'm kind of not happy with the fact it's slower than even this. It's weird. It's just very weird, but then again, sometimes you won't realize it till you have to try it. This thing goes. It's just very odd for the most part. Okay, here we go. Let's see what time we get here. 130, 131, 131.8. Yeah, I did beat the R4. The R4 hit like a 131.4, I believe. No, 131.3. Yeah. But on that, now comes the worst part, because as you can see, the go-kart's still after me, so that kind of tells you that this car is definitely not that fast for Tsukuba very much. For the most part. When Tsukuba is all about that acceleration and turning stuff. But hopefully we could easily outdo the Toyota Sports 800, right? Because that thing only did like a minute 8 over here. In this course at the end. Yeah, I still kind of felt pretty bad about that. It's like, oof. Like, that's so bad. Not as bad as the one when I get to that one, because oh god. And the worst part is, it's one of the K cars. I'll give you that for a hint. It just, I couldn't believe that, because yeah, I was testing that earlier yesterday, matter of fact. So I was gonna post this episode today, but I had a special thing I had to deal with from yesterday and such. So now I'll be up and running this later on, well, technically the next day, so technically it's like, whatever I'm gonna say here is like 2 days back in some ways. But here we go, 108.0676. I think that beat the Sports 800. Yeah, it did. Now let's see if we can beat the R4. Because yeah, I noticed it's like sitting in between the R4 Sports 800 for most of these times I'm noticing. It's not hitting that Fiat 500 time at all. Matter of fact, that 500 is just so much better. So yeah, if you got a Fiat 500, that's technically better than this. I hate to say that, as the saying goes. But then again, as the saying goes, you stuck a little inline 2 motor that only does like 30 horsepower, and it's about the same appropriate size as a K car. Although I will note that K cars back then were also 30 horsepower too, so something to note. I think they were like 18 horsepower, then 30 horsepower, and then nowadays 60 horsepower, and it might go up again. I'm hoping to at least 100 horsepower, and then that's fine at that point. In the long run, but yeah, 107.917, it beat the Sports 800 for sure. The Reno R4 was a 107.4, if you must know. Let's see around here as I try to dance around the corners as best as I can, as the go-kart's just chasing me like hardcore. At least it was fast enough to beat the go-kart. I'm shocked about that. It's like the Sports 800 definitely didn't, so I had to replace it with something slower at the end of the day. And I'm probably going to be doing that again for the other car. Because I'm going to keep mentioning that. As the thing goes, because how bad that one is. Because I just can't believe it. It's one of the most well-known K cars, and it's this bad. My only guess maybe it's Code Dragon's that crazy and stuff. But oh god. So when we get to that, oh boy, it's gonna be a trip. I'll just say that much. But for now, we got 2 other cars to deal with before we even get to that one. Because yeah, that's how far it is from that. Yeah, beat the R4. 107.392. There we go. There's a number. Can it do faster than that? So then I got a best lap here. Let's see. Which, nope, it didn't do faster at all yet. So let's see if around this last roundabouts and turns here. Let's go around the medium roundabout to the small roundabouts and the large roundabout. That's the fun part about Tsukuba. It's like all roundabout turns, exactly, except for like a little bit of chicane turns in between it, in between the 3 roundabouts. Cause yeah, you got this rough chicane here, and then you got these tight roundabouts. So yeah, it starts with a medium roundabout to 2 tight roundabouts. Well, a chicane and a tight roundabout, then to a rough chicane to a, well, I won't say rough chicane, probably medium chicane, tight roundabout, I'm confusing people, and then to the large roundabout here. So yeah, let's see, what time is it gonna heat? 106, 107, 107.390, so technically not that much quicker, just a tad bit quicker. Like, not even a tad, I think a minuscule at best. But that basically ends that for the Fiat Panda. Overall, like I said, it's just a decent car, nothing too crazy at the end of the day. So, yeah. So here's what you could do, though. You could do the Sunday Cup. You could do the Sunday Cup Classic as well. It can also do the European Sunday Cup 400, as long as you got those race tires. I think it's probably good for that. Considering there's even one where it's involved and such. There's also the European Sunday Cup 500, but I would recommend just the corner tracks, not much else, but I'm gonna just take notes of that, and that's exactly about it, besides the 2 tournaments it can do. Which that is the high speed ring track day and Tokyo Parade. Tokyo Highway Parade, to be exact. Yeah, I was looking to see if I could do that. Wait, that's not a French car. That's an Italian car. Oh god, I just pissed off the nation. This thing goes. But now onto the Dragon Trails Garden, as we're driving against a bunch of riders that should beat this like nothing, but they're just very slow. At the end, I'm not sure why. I'm really not sure why at the end. It's very weird. It's like, I know they're unprofessional, and that guy there's driving the E-Civic. It's like, I still beat these guys at the end of the day. It's very confusing on why and how did I do it at the end of the day. But yeah, we got like contenders like the Toyota Alphard, a little terrible van. Honda Integra. We got the, let's see what else we got here. Corvette convertible, I think that's C3, yeah, C3 Corvette. Yeah, C3 Corvette. I think there's another Integra there, because yeah, let's say I do got some dupes here. Which, you know, I gotta minimize on the dupes. No, there's like 2 Eeks, 2 Integras here. There's a 2017 Swift, but then again, I gotta remember the 2017 Swift didn't really get that much enhancements when it comes to horsepower and stuff, so it's always kind of weird when I see that car, because it feels like, you know, I see that car in grade 4. It's like, you kind of expect it like a very crazy hatchback performance out of that, which it can when you tune it and stuff. But otherwise, where it sits at a measly 130 horsepower, really exactly doesn't do a whole lot. Otherwise, got that Mazda Miata. Got that. Yeah. Then we got the DTM racer that is the E90. Is it E90? Yeah, no, 190. 190E. God, pissed off someone there. Toyota Prius, of course. Which how? Just how? Once I passed that thing. This thing goes. Yeah, it's just kind of funny. Oh, wait, you just got brake step? Good God. Then you got the Mitsubishi FTO GP version, which is shocking we have that. Then have the Nissan GTR 2000 GTR, which I have 2 of those. I will say I have 2 of those, and I have the box one too. The Skybox, as this thing goes. Yeah, I was thinking of giving like each of the Skylines a nickname. Certain Hardbox, I usually call it the Skybox, and then you have the this one, which is technically the Ken and Mary's, apparently it's called, or something like that. Or I could be wrong about that. In other words, I call it the Skylar. And then you got the other one that is the R31. So I'm not really sure what to give that for a name yet, though, on that one. R32, though, is Skyzilla, of course. And R33 is the Skynet. In other words, was it the first 8-minute barrier car in terms of Nordschleifer? I think it's like that, or something like that. It hit a barrier. It's like one of the first barrier breaker cars. And then you have the Skywand. That is the R34. So yeah, that's basically what kind of nicknames I usually gave to the Skylines a little bit. And the reason why the R34 got the Skywand name is because, well, the Bayside blue color is supposed to be a One Gun blue color, but they changed it because they didn't want to be associated with street racing at the end of the day and stuff. Even though most of the times that R34 Skyline is involved in street racing, considering it's on the cover of the new Tokyo Stream Racer feature that I might end up getting in the future, I will say. That'd be a fun one to do, because yeah, I technically don't have a whole lot of racing games besides going back to Wreckfest. Could do that. And other games, for that matter. And that stuff. Yeah, you see the Mercedes 190 having trouble against the Skyward here. It's kind of funny. But yeah, I see the C3 Corvette here chugging along here, but as you can see, its fuel consumption is not going to be that good. Because yeah, that 9 times fuel, it burns cars like these like no tomorrow. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised it gets held back because of that reason. Got the Honda Integra here. Into victory, as it goes. Which I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if the Integra be up a lot for at some point here. Got another Skylar. And the Skybox giving chase, which I'm not surprised because I will say, in terms of performance difference, the Skylar to the Skybox is not much different to each other, except for like Skylar having slight advantages in fuel, a bit more in speed, and technically just overall a better design, what some people would say. You got the E-Civic, but yeah, somehow again destroyed by the Integra. I guess the Integra is that good. That's weird. That's very weird to see that. Not gonna lie. But then again, what tires what did the E-Civic have? I thought it was sauce as well. Yeah, you got the Mazda Miata, which is that 2015 or 2022? 2022, okay. So we got the newest one of that, as of now. Until we get another one, but you know. Suzuki Swift Sport 2017 version, which yeah, it's kind of crazy that the Suzuki Swift Sport, compared to its 2007 one, that its 2017 one, they're a decade apart, which is crazy. And surprisingly still going at this point. But then again, it's not like it can't come back over here at the end of the day. If they can distribute at the end of the day. It kind of does suck that it kind of just went off and died at the end of the day. Due to our greedy needs of American vehicles and shit sometimes. And then you get the Volkswagen Golf Rabbit, of course. But then again, I mean, maybe I might be wrong. Maybe Suzuki quality, I wasn't very sure about Suzuki reliability quality, how good that is. You know, I just thought, when I look at Suzuki, it's like, it makes a lot of interesting cars. I know they're small though, but sometimes small is not the worst. This thing goes. You got the BMW M3, which, yeah, that's not the Sport Evo, by the way. That's the regular M3, which, yeah, I had to look at distinction. What's the difference between the Sport Evo and the regular one? Because they kind of just look the same, I'm not gonna lie, but then you realize, if you look in a little deeper, it turns out the engine part is different. It is the same engine, I will note, it's just different bore. The bore is a 7.3 when it comes to the M3, while this 2.5 for the Sport Evo. So in case you want to know, there's technically like some sport changes. I mean, as the name implies, the saying goes. But yeah, that's basically what the difference is between the M3 to the Sports Evo. So it makes me wonder: is this technically worse than the Sports Evo? Probably. In that remark, in that case. Got two of the Skylarks just sitting next to each other. And then a Volvo V40, which, yeah, I do have a big change in the future for a pedestrian car. That car is going to be a pedestrian car. No ifs or buts. I'd rather see the Estate being the sports car than pedestrian car. You know, I will admit the Estate is not much better. But I might as well, if I'm going to have something to represent good for Volvo, the Estate. Because that thing does not represent Volvo very well at all. Matter of fact, it kind of shocks me they added that V40. It's really weird when it comes to that. It's a very weird thing. And of course, the Tyler Alfred. Don't mind him, he's just getting there. You know, he may have already pitted. He may have. With the Golf Rabbits and the Prius. Who's gonna win, the Prius or the Rabbits? As the thing goes. Yeah, the Prius is technically not much better because it's horrendous acceleration, so it's only like a 1 what it feels like. Although, I will say, here's the worst part. That Prius, I believe, is even faster than the K car I'm referring to. Of all those mentions I mentioned. That's the worst part. That K car is technically almost slower than that. That's the fucked up part. You got the Integra and the Skylar going at it looks like a little bit. You gotta go through both of them because yeah, I think that was the funny part throughout this race. Those two, I think they stick next to each other throughout this whole race. So there's a case, it's kind of funny to see dupes like that. And you got the Alpine A110, I guess I didn't mention that one at all. But yeah, he's there too. Which, yeah, he's going to be there for the long while, because the Alpine A110, if you don't know, is quite an endurance racer, considering it is done by a racer guy for sure. Can't remember his name, but it's like John something. Whatever, but he's a very famous Renault driver that basically just made his own division that Renault just provided at the end of the day while he made the cars and stuff. Phenomenal potential, and the A110 is definitely one of that example. Now the A210, on the other hand, I'm not sure. And then there's the crazy Le Mans racer too. That is the A220 or something like that. I recall. It's a pretty crazy Le Mans racer. It's pretty good for what it does. And as such. Got the BMW M3 here. Just trying to get me because yeah, now we're looking at the dashboards and stuff. But yeah, those dashboards always look pretty good during the nighttime, so that we can see the whole scope, what it looks like inside. So you can see the radio too. Yeah, so technically this M3 is a pedestrian sports car. While the Sports Evo is a sports car. So it's a right representation done in that case. Cause yeah, I will say there's some cars that will say sports. I will probably bump up even higher than sports because they are a lot quicker than sports cars. I have come to conclude it too, as I guess. That's technically good for Alfa Romeo's guys. So then that 4C is just that fast, as I guess. You got the Alpine A110. Got the Renault 190. In fourth right now. I'm not surprised that that thing's creeping up because 190E is pretty fast considering that's the sports model, this thing goes. It does make me wonder if we're going to get a production model of that. I'd be surprised, but we'll see on that. If we get a regular 190. Because that is the special homologation one for DTM racing. Where there is a regular 190, but it wasn't really that famous at all. So, I don't know, at the end of the day, I would love to see more older Mercedes sedans, because there was some really badass old Mercedes sedans that were top-notch, good stuff at the end of the day, until, you know, the whole Chrysler joint, apparently, happened, and then it went to crap, as the thing goes, for a good bit, until they broke apart, and then it got good again. Because they didn't turn around and ask AMG for special edition stuff like the Black Series and that such. Oh, looks like the Skyr is trying to make a move on the other Skyr. Or is it the box? No, I think the Skybox is trying to pass for a good second there. I just saw. That is funny. That is very funny in regards. Oh, here comes the Eek Civic. I think the Eek Civics had it at this point. Just trying to pass the Swift Sport. But I'm not surprised. It is kind of funny though, 2 decades apart, and the Eek still beats the Swift Sport. Yeah, I say sport loosely because that does not hit sports at all. It hits like public sports at best. But then again, when it comes to the sports name molecule or trend, when it comes to saying just sports in general, it could mean 155 and it could mean 186. That's where sports speed stands in my case. Any higher is GT, and then any further much higher, past 200 to 217, that is high end. And then 250 is what I consider supercar territory. And then 275 is technically just track cars at that point. Cars just built for technically the means of track, or they're just that good enough to hit that performance at the end of the day. Concerned, I know most of the Skyline R30s can kind of do that, besides the R31. That's such. Yeah, just look at. I guess there's no lights in the Rabbit Golfs. I'm surprised about that, because in 1983 and you don't have lights in your dashboard. That's interesting. The Prius does. Although its dashboard's weird. It's just a big old center infotainment dashboard. Just to make sure that, yeah, that hybrid system's going, as thing goes. You got the Alfred to sit in the back, which I'm not surprised, because like I said, the biggest problem about the Alfred is its fuel burn, which is, I mean, also technically kind of surprising, because you kind of think like a newer minivan like that wouldn't burn so much fuel, but I guess they do. But then again, when you have freaking seats that are the quality of a freaking recliners, and you have to technically 9 times that because it's a 3-seater van, then yeah, I guess technically you do have to take account for that. But yeah, just holy crap at the end of it. Yep, so now I basically just drive the Fiat Panda Victory, which as you can see, I'm probably just gonna one route this at the end of the day because how quick this just is. I know, yeah, you may have noticed the weird splice going on there. Yeah, I had to do that because I had to deal with something real quick too, and then I got back to it and such. But yeah, at least I broke the 2-minute threshold for this because yeah, I was having trouble just passing 2 minutes. I am surprised the Mitsubishi FTO is still giving it all at the end there. I'm shocked about that. It's about to go in the pits though. See, that's a Bono. This thing goes. But you can definitely see it's starting to have speed boosts and stuff because you notice they're getting a little quicker and quicker over time. Then again, when I'm driving a car that doesn't fuel at all, and the funny part is the Alpine A110 is going to be that same case too, because I could see he has like a third of fuel left at the end of the Integra is about to go in too on top of it. Funny stuff, I guess so. I got the BMW M3 in the fur back at the 190E. Even with its fuel troubles, it's still a pretty quick car at the end of the day, and also hitting on par with the BMW regular M3 and such. But the Skylar hitting, what is that, 8th place? Yeah, 8th place right now. Such. Got the Alpine A110 taking second now, which I'm not surprised. This thing is, while not quick, it does get there where it needs to be at the end of the day, and that's very important sometimes too. Because sometimes longevity is the means to win. Sometimes being a turtle is just better than the bunny. It just depends on the track where you're going to at the end of the day. Because I will say longevity is going to be a big matter when it comes to big tracks, but when it comes to small tracks, it depends. Really depends at the end of the day. I just know they don't use the whole lean fuel feature, so there's gonna be like instances where they have this big old tank of fuel they could use. They don't want to use the lean to utilize that. That's the thing goes. But it feels like they should. Just have a upper advantage a little bit, or just have a bit more difficulty to them. So that's what I find when it comes to doing these endurance races and such. Yeah, overall the Fiat Panda 30CL is a pretty good little machine overall. It's just not a quick machine, but it'll get there when it'll get there, as the thing goes. Basically a little towny, little commuter econo box that a lot of people love at the end of the day, which I'm not surprised because yeah, a lot of people, when they saw a certain trailer in Gran Turismo, they saw this car in terms of being 3D design and stuff. So people were hoping to get the Fiat Panda like pretty soon. It took a good bit, but we finally did eventually got it at the end of it. And at the end of the day, it's just a fun little econo box you can just drive around and such. So that's a win-win. As that goes. Does make me wonder what's the next set of cars for this next update. Cause I can't really think of anything technically else. There's a lot of crazy choices though. Like I would love for some mid-sized trucks or something better than the freaking heavy-duty ones, for God's sakes. Just give me a Ford Ranger. That would easily beat those ones. As thing goes. Something like that, or like heck, the new Maverick. Fuck it. I like to see how good that is. I assume it'll be tech kind of a bit better for the lower performances, sides of things and stuff. But we'll have to see in the long run when they ever offer it. Because yeah, when it comes to trucks, it's really kind of weird. They don't really offer like any trucks or anything besides the big two dumb trucks at the end of the day, I find. I'm not saying they're bad, they're just, you know, they exist. It's like, what's the point of having trucks here when you guys ain't gonna appreciate the trucks? Matter of fact, if any trucks you guys should be at is road trucks, if anything, like the GMC Cyclone, for example, like any crazy ones for that such. Not whatever this is at the end of the day. Or whatever, you know, Raptor or Tundra, you know. They're nice, but they're not gonna be like crazy nice, you know. But yeah, so, and then in terms of what else Fiat could add, well, the obvious one is the freaking Turbo Coupe one. That'd be the next one to add, because that's another good, fun little FF car they need to add. I'm trying to think what else Fiat could add that I couldn't recall. There's like some crazy cars, I will say. There's a Fiat, there's not really a whole bucket to grab out of, but there is some wonderful machines to get out of at the end there too. Oh yeah, I guess they had the Crescente one, the weird one that was supposed to be the successor to the Fiat 500, but it technically wasn't, even though some names gave it the Fiat 600 and such. It was a really weird one, but the Crescente is the other one I can think of. I just don't know if that was a good car or not. It's the worst part. So that's the fun part when it comes to that. At least the dashboard lights on this one, I will say. The green light, but yeah, I do like green lights like that. That's pretty nice. And hello, Bobo, as the thing goes. That's I could be diss tracking that V4 Volvo. It's not a good Volvo. I don't know what they were thinking when it came to re-adding that one, because I recall that one being bad in 5 and 6, and it just still shows the same case. Still shows the same case for that car. It's not a good car at the end of it. But yeah, here we go. We've seen the Mercedes 190 versus the BMW M3. You know, I don't know if I should really count this because it's the regular M3. It's not the Sports Evo. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know if to count this or not. Because reminder that, like, even this is a regular M3, the Sports Evo is technically the one that should be going against the 190E, because the Sports Evo was made in mind for homologation versus, you know, that, as a DTM racer at that time, and such. But yeah, it's still kind of cool seeing these two cars go at it, though. So they have the same amount of fuel tank. That's the crazy part. Yeah, try to get the Fiat Panda to victory at this point. It was the last lap. But yeah, again, as the saying goes, the inconsistency is weird when it comes to these laps, I gotta say. Although I will say, I think if I had another lap, I think I would have had a pit then. Which I think in terms of distance, I don't think they're not far. But yeah, the 190E has successfully passed the BMW now just to win at this point. I might have had another lap in me perhaps, but I'm not really sure. But yeah, the reason why the M3 got past her is because he got blocked. He got blocked like hardcore by the... Was it the Prius or was it the other one? For the most part. But yeah, it's just kind of funny. It's like, by longevity, the Alpine definitely got there probably the most, but By pace, though, the Mercedes 190 for sure did. No matter. Trying to get past the skybox, even though the skybox is going accelerate me here. Or outspeed me. And there he goes. Yep. That's basic victory for Fiat Panda at the end of the day. That's it. So that basically wraps that for this tryouts for the Fiat Panda. Until then, I'll see you guys all next time for the next car. That is the Toyota Land Cruiser FJ40V, I believe it's called. Till then, people, I'll see you guys all next time. You guys take care and ciao.